So the TV I'm working on today, it's a Samsung, and there's the model number there. Anyway, this TV came in here completely dead, and the gentleman told me that every once in a while it would turn on. Well, I couldn't get it to turn on for me at all. And so I gave him an estimate. I told him I didn't think it was even worth fixing because these things are so cheap now. And he said this TV goes in his RV, and so he insisted that he'd like to get it fixed. So I said, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. So first thing I did was I started taking voltage measurements on my power supply board here. And what surprised me is I noticed even my standby voltage was less than a volt. Now, for those that don't know, the standby voltage is produced by the power supply, and it's usually around 5 volts, well, anywhere from 2.5 to 5 volts. Sometimes it's 3.3. And it provides power to the main board. And the main board's getting some power even before you turn the TV set on. So the standby voltage produces the power for the main board so that when you push the power button to turn the TV on, the main board can recognize the fact that you pushed the power button. Otherwise, if it didn't have the standby voltage, it wouldn't respond to you pushing the power button. Hopefully I said that clear enough. So basically I noticed that my power supply voltage, all of them, were less than a volt. And when I looked at the notations on the circuit board, listed right on the circuit board, this is what I was supposed to have. So even in the off position, here we see PS, which stands for power supply. It should have been, I'm sorry, there's the wrong one. Yeah, well, that's power supply. Yeah, it should have been, it was 5.2 volts. And this one here, BV5, should have been 5.2. And this number 12 here should have been 5.2. So bottom line is these last 2 or 3 pins, I guess, should have been 5 volts. Anyway, so I went ahead and I ordered, before I jump ahead, I put my finger on this IC here, and it was burning hot, and I said, okay, we've got a short to ground. It's grounding out my 5 volt lines, so that's the problem. So it's got to be a mainboard issue, and I'm not about to troubleshoot this mainboard. I went on eBay, or not eBay, I'm sorry, I called Shop Jimmy this time, and they sold me all 3 boards for, oh gosh, it was pretty cheap. I think it was around 50 bucks. Can't beat that. So I went ahead and put the main board in. Things started working. And that's what I expected. Now here's the strange thing. A lot of times when a main board goes bad, one clue is that you'll try to, even if it does happen to come on, you'll push the power off button. And the main board a lot of times won't recognize you pushing the power off button. So that's something to take into your notations there, that like I said, the main board, if it has a problem and it does happen to come on and it's an intermittent problem, often you'll see that the TV won't allow you to turn it back off unless you unplug the set. That wasn't the case with this TV. But anyways, here's the strange thing, is I happened to put the old board back in just to take a few more voltage measurements. All of a sudden the old board starts working. So, talk about frustration here. Now, I just assumed that the LEDs would be bad in this thing, because I see so many of these TVs coming in my shop now, a year or 2 old, that have bad LEDs. So my first thought was, it's bad LEDs. Well, when I saw the issue with the main board and the missing standby voltage and the overheating IC there, I just assumed, well, I may as well go for a main board and see what happens. Anyway, I just thought I'd share this case history. As you all know, these TVs can be frustrating, and for what it's worth, there's another case history for you. Hope you find this information helpful. As always, if you like it, please give me a thumbs up.